On Sunday, August 27th, 2016, my duty as a tribal emergency manager would be called into service for a journey that would involve tragedy, loss, and the greatest honor in my 30-year career. In that fall season, many Western states were experiencing a number of raging wildfires. One particular troubling wildfire was in Utah, known as the Box Canyon wildfire. It needed extra resources, and when that is called, the Department of Interior calls the best of the best, the Bureau of Indian Affairs Wildland Hotshot Crews. To answer that call, the Beartown Type 2 wildfire crew from the Kaniwa Bay Indian community in Michigan answered the call. On their travel through Minnesota on I-35W at 3:30 p.m., their vehicle lost control, rolled with such force that the crew cab was separated from the vehicle, causing 6 Ojibwe wildland firefighters to be critically injured. But more tragically, the loss of 2 of their own. 25-year-old wildland firefighter A.J. Schwartz and 23-year-old Jimmy Shalafo. At 9 p.m. that night, I received a call from the incident commander, Ken Prillman, from the Minnesota Line of Duty Death Team. He asked me, Monte, if you have not been watching the news or heard on the radio, we have had a double line of duty death of 2 tribal wildland firefighters. We need you to come down to the incident command post. We need you to be the tribal liaison to help guide us to what the spiritual and cultural practices are of the Ojibwe for their final trail home. Upon arriving at the incident command post, I checked in as we do in emergency management. The first thing I did was go to the 6 injured critical wildland firefighters, introduce myself in our Ojibwe language to make sure they knew one of their own was there. Also, in Minnesota, they put out the call, and many firefighters had already assembled there and were providing 24-hour visual coverage in 4-hour shifts to the 6 critically injured wildland firefighters. I explained that in Indian country, when we lose one of our own far from home, members of their family, friends, co-workers will do whatever it takes to come to that site to be there for their loved one. So for the next 15 hours, we prepared for members of the Kaniwa Bay Indian community coming to the Twin Cities. I knew they would be coming on vehicles not very worthy of driving. I knew that they'd be coming driving on fumes and very lack of food getting to Minnesota. Luckily, in our incident command team, we had a member of the U.S. Forest Service who knew exactly who to call, the National Wildland Firefighters Foundation. When they heard that we had 6 critically injured wildland firefighters and tragically a double line of duty death, they told our team, take care of the families. Do what you need to do for them. Provide food, provide hotel rooms, take care of them. They are part of our family. And in that 15 hours, 50 members from the Kaniwa Bay Indian community came to the cities to be with the deceased and to be with the critically injured. On that Monday morning, our incident command team turned over our leadership to a local incident command team so that we could focus on the next part of the journey, was to bring AJ and Jimmy back home. In Ojibwe culture, this is called they're walking the path of souls. And we need to bring them home to Kaniwa Bay in 3 days for the traditional wake and the 4th day for the traditional Ojibwe funeral. We spent the next hours coordinating how do we get AJ and Jimmy home through 3 states. We decided the best way we can do this is by renting 2 minivans and preparing them for the longest line of duty death funeral procession in U.S. history, 362 miles to Kaniwa Bay. On Tuesday morning, 9 honor guard, including myself, and 20 emergency response vehicles started the journey from Minnesota to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan to Kaniwa Bay. In our line of work, when there is a line of duty death in public safety, every bridge we crossed under, every town, every village, small to large, their responders were waiting for us in full uniform, by the response vehicles, and properly saluting AJ and Jimmy as they passed through their communities on the way home. For myself as an Ojibwe, the most memorable and gut-wrenching moment was going through the Bad River Indian community in Wisconsin, because it wasn't a response vehicle, it was 6 strong Native women in their traditional jingle dress regalia. The jingle dress in my culture is a healing dress. And they were outside on the road, 6 of them, dancing to honor AJ and Jimmy's spirit. As we finally came into the Kaniwa Bay Indian community and the city of Baraga, we came over the hill, we stopped, we got out, and I explained to my team members that Native grieving is something that they probably will never experience or see. It is very emotional. It is very loud. And we will stay with AJ and Jimmy at attention until the Kaniwa Bay Indian community finishes their grieving for them coming back into their community. In the far distance, not only did we hear the sound of the bagpipes, but more importantly for me, as an Ojibwe tribal emergency manager, is I heard the sound, in our language we call it Degwagan, the sound of the drum and the singing. The drum is the heartbeat of our mothers. And the drum was calling AJ and Jimmy home. As we slowly walked alongside the vehicles and came into the city of Baraga, we stood at attention, and in my Ojibwe language, I told everybody to come down and to honor AJ and Jimmy. For the next 2.5 hours in 84-degree heat, our line of duty that stood at attention while members of the Kaniwa Bay Indian community grieved, loud, put flowers down, put Kaniwa Bay flags on AJ and Jimmy's caskets within the 2 minivans that they were using. To my surprise, I watched an elder leave one of the drums that was singing. He approached me, greeted me in our Ojibwe language, shook my hand with tears coming down his face. What I didn't know was that he was a tribal chairman of the Kaniwa Bay Indian community. He shook my hand and thanked me in our Ojibwe language for bringing AJ and Jimmy home in the cultural traditions of our community for the 3-day wake and then the following 4-day traditional funeral. As we transferred AJ and Jimmy over to the Michigan Line of Duty Death Team, our team then drove silently back to Minnesota, with what we just experienced on our minds. But for AJ and Jimmy's families, their journey for them was not completed just yet. On October 8th of that year, AJ and Jimmy's names were added to the National Firefighters Memorial in Emmitsburg, Maryland. As for me, we came back changed. We came back humbled. And more importantly, we have updated the line of duty death procedure in Minnesota to recognize the 11 sovereign nations. And if any of us, including myself, would ever go down the line of duty, we now have that procedure in writing. So for you, we are Ojibwe, we are storytellers. You have listened to my story. You have honored the spirits of AJ and Jimmy for listening. Miigwech, and thank you.